So you apply to a role at a company you're interested in, and all of a sudden you get an email. Ping! Ben, we'd like to set up a time for you to talk to one of our recruiters. Are you nervous? What do you expect? What should you do to prepare? In today's video, I'm gonna explain all of that. I'm gonna tell you what you should know and what you need to do prior to talking with a corporate recruiter and what to expect. Let's go. Now, first and foremost, I want to explain the difference. There are two types of recruiters typically. There is a corporate recruiter and there is an agency recruiter. Now, I've already done the video on the agency recruiter. If you haven't watched that one, go watch it after I do this one. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about a corporate recruiter. So that is somebody who works for a company, right? You apply to a company like Google or Apple or Tesla, and a Tesla employee, a recruiter, reaches out to you. Today, that is what we are going to be talking about. Now, corporate recruiters typically specialize in a certain area. I was a corporate recruiter for about 3 years, and I specialize in computer engineering, specifically test engineering, hardware test, software test. I also did a little bit of security architecture and different computer science, computer engineering roles. So first thing you need to know is typically the recruiter is specialized, but the depth of knowledge they have in that technical space is probably limited because most of them are not degreed engineers by trade. You also need to know about their volume. So most of these recruiters at any given time are working on 10 to 25 roles. Now, as a corporate recruiter, my average role count that I worked on was about 24, but I actually had as many as 75 roles at one time. What does that tell you? It tells you that a corporate recruiter does not have a lot of time to be going out and doing things. Instead, they are reactive. People are applying, they're setting up meetings, they're going quickly through screens. They are very transactional and they have to move very quick because the amount of work they're typically handling on any given day. So when you're thinking about a corporate recruiter, know that they are probably very busy, they have very little time, and they're moving quickly through the tasks they need to perform. An interesting thing about a corporate recruiter as opposed to an agency recruiter is when an agency recruiter calls you, they most of the time have one role. But as a corporate recruiter, you might call a candidate and have 4, 5, 6 roles they're even a fit for. So when you talk to a corporate recruiter, know that maybe you applied for one role, but it's not uncommon that they approach you about a different role. And I would definitely advise you to be open to the conversation because you never know. Don't think, no, I applied to one role and I only want to hear about that role. Hear them out, listen to what they say. The hiring manager might have specifically seen your resume and said, I don't know if Ben's a good fit for this, but I think he might be a great fit for that. Now let's talk about what you might expect when a corporate recruiter calls you. Now, they're going to want to accomplish a few things and they're going to want to do it really quickly. Now, the first thing they are going to do is they're going to do a quick intro and get right into it. They're going to say, hi, my name is Ben. I recruit in software engineering for my company. And you recently applied to this role, so I'd love to talk to you about that. Real quick, get in, explain, get down to business. Now, an agency recruiter is probably going to pitch you. Here's why this is exciting. Here's why this is a good fit. But a corporate recruiter is much more likely to talk to you and immediately start to qualify. Is Ben a good fit? Is Ben interested? Is Ben affordable? Go. Because they have such a scarcity of free time, and because they need to move through things so quickly, time is at a premium. They're going to move quick. So they're not going to spend a lot of time chit-chatting most of the time. They're going to get right into it, and they want to qualify you as a candidate to make sure, is it worth to spend a significant amount of time with this candidate? Now, as a corporate recruiter, you got to do a few things. You got to find out if they're qualified. Of course, we just covered that. But you also want to know if they're affordable, right? So they're going to ask you salary questions. They're going to try to find out where you're compensated. Now, if you want advice on how to compensate, negotiate a higher salary, and position yourself for the best offer possible, watch my video on salary negotiation. It should help you. You should be able to find it in my video list. But they're going to do that, and they're also going to want to know, are you interviewing elsewhere? Because they want to know if they take you through the process, are you going to be available at the end, or are they likely to lose you to another opportunity? So those are two things outside of are you qualified that they are likely to try to figure out when they talk to you during that call pretty quickly. Now, they're going to expect you to know about the company. This is really important. Corporate recruiters, they want to know if their role matters to you, or are you just applying everywhere, right? So when you talk to a corporate recruiter, the first question they might ask you is, what do you know about my company? And you need to have an answer to that. You need to know about the organization, so have an answer prepared. As a corporate recruiter, I've asked people, what do you know about my company? And they had nothing, and that does not bode well for you as a candidate. So make sure you know something about the organization. Now, I mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. Recruiters do not, most of the time, have a deep technical understanding. They know the buzzwords, right? I knew that C and C# were programming languages, right? And I know a variety of other of them, but that is it. There's no depth there. I have a business degree. And when I was recruiting, I was talking to computer science majors and computer engineering majors, and I knew just enough to be dangerous, and that is very little. So when you're talking to a recruiter, you need to make sure that they understand what you're saying. You need to convey your messages in a way so they understood the depth of your accomplishment. So you're going to be acronym heavy if you're a technical role or if you're a technical person, but remember to try to dumb it down into basic language so they can repeat what you were telling to them to the hiring manager. Remember, just because you understand it doesn't mean they do, and you only win in an interview with a recruiter if they're able to effectively communicate your value add to the hiring manager. So make sure you're clear, make sure you're breaking it down so they understand it, and ask clarifying questions like, does that make sense? I don't find it condescending. I find it helpful because I was never a technical person. So when they broke it down for me and said, Ben, I use this is a programming language. I was in, it was Agile. That's, a development methodology, like explaining it and making it so they can repeat that story and represent you accurately. That's very important. And the last thing, this is a really big thing, but if you're talking to a corporate recruiter, you better have 10 questions to ask them because they don't understand all the technical things. What they're gonna do is they're gonna make basic assumptions, right? Is this person qualified? Is this person affordable? Will this person be available? And lastly, are they interested? And if you don't ask them any questions, they might assume that you aren't interested. So even if you know a ton about the company and you know a ton about the role, you have to go into your interview and ask a variety of questions. So 5, 10, 15 questions. I would always have that prepared when you talk to a corporate recruiter, because if you talk to a corporate recruiter and they say, do you have any questions? And you say no, they're going to assume you aren't interested. You don't want that. Now, one thing I want to comment on is that people often get disappointed when they don't get a job, but there's a lot of good reasons why good candidates don't get a job. Maybe there was an internal candidate, maybe there was a referral, maybe you just happen to be interviewing against an amazing candidate who has a little bit more experience than you and is just as affordable as you, and they're interested, maybe they're closer. There's a lot of good reasons, right? But if you don't get the job, but you made it all the way through, it behooves you to foster the relationship with that corporate recruiter, because I gotta tell you, I can't tell you how many times the second place candidate on one search became the first place candidate for another. So if you don't get the job, do yourself a favor and reach out to that recruiter afterwards. Send them an email. Ben, hey, thank you so much. I know I didn't get the job, but I really appreciated the way you communicated with me throughout, the way you shared information about the role and about the company. It was great working with you, and I'd love to be kept in mind for future opportunities. Make sure you do that. Just because you got second place in one interview process doesn't mean you won't get first in the next, but that will never happen if you don't set yourself up correctly. Help them pipeline you for future opportunity. Trust me. Now, the last thing I want to say is that corporate recruiters won't always respond to you really quickly. You might send them messages and go, geez, I messaged Ben and it's been 3 hours and he didn't answer me. I guess they're not interested in me as a candidate. But the fact is, that's not always true. As I said before, corporate recruiters are very busy. Think about it. Imagine if you had 25 roles, and imagine if 50 people applied to each of those roles. You would be busy, right? So feel free to follow up. Just remember to be polite. Email them. You don't hear from them for a few more days, email them back. Hey Ben, just checking in. I reached out a few days ago, but I'm sure you're pretty busy. I was wondering if you had any more information on me on ABC. Make sure you follow up. Understand that if they don't respond right away, it's not because they're not interested. They might just be busy. Be polite. And that's it. That's everything you need to know. You don't need to be scared about it. Just be prepared. Know about the company, prepare yourself some questions, and be open-minded to the fact that they might want to consider you for multiple opportunities. Good luck in your next interview. You got this.